Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Winer Wellness Virtual Summit. We are in for a special treat today. Jamie Dorley, CEO and owner of Nutritional Frontiers and the World of Wellness / Winer Wellness Center. So many names. We're transitioning. We are going to be talking about, are you suffering from autoimmune disease? So, Jamie, I'm going to step back. I'm going to bring your PowerPoint up, but I'll be here if you need me. So thank you.
Don't go too far away. I don't like to do it by
won't.
myself, so I always like to do it with you. So I'm excited because this is a topic that I think is going to be at the forefront of our medical community in our country. I myself have had concerns and challenges with autoimmune conditions. And, I remember Dr. Weiner always saying that there's no really such thing as autoimmune. Why would the body attack itself? That's why I put the question mark here. So we're going to get into that. What really is autoimmune? What are the causes of autoimmune? And more importantly, how can you address those causes? So you can go to the next one. I'll just give you a quick background on myself. I'm celebrating 30 years of experience this year, 1991 to 2021. Sometimes it seems a lot quicker, and sometimes it seems like a lot longer. But I've been doing this since 91, and actually in the industry right before that, in college, I was doing a lot of diets and working on myself for natural bodybuilding. So I've worked in all aspects of health and wellness, American College of Sports Medicine certified, nutrition response training for applied kinesiology, and the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine certified. So that's just a brief background so you know how I got here. Currently the world of wellness, Tracy, did you know we're accepting new patients? So you can do this.
Know.
You can do it live or you can do it via telemedicine. So we've had patients come for the events as far as New Hampshire. A woman would drive down every summer. And we've had patients come as far as Japan. Their relatives lived in the Pittsburgh area. So no client is too close or too far away. If you're local and you want to come in live, you can. And if you'd like to do a telemedicine session, we can do that too. Now, of course, the chiropractic and muscle therapy and the structural physical medicine, you need to be live. But we do a lot of things that you can do over the Zoom or even via phone. So a lot of different therapies. We are accepting walk-ins right now. So when we hear the word autoimmune, did you know, Tracy, there's over 100 different types of autoimmune?
I did not know that we had such a list now.
Yeah, I'm like, that's more than all the organs. And
it outnumbers all the organ systems and functions in the body, but let's just keep giving it a
name. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of different types. Now, I'm not so concerned with the type and where it manifests. I think if you learn anything today, is have an open mind. Minds are like parachutes. You only work when they're open. And let's not focus on the symptom you're having or what it's been called by your doctor. Let's focus on what is causing it. And just because you got the symptom, and it could be MS, right? It could be maybe skin issues like psoriasis that I suffered from. It could be fibromyalgia, right? Neuropathies. Don't think that the issue started when the symptoms started. It could have started a week ago, a month ago. It could have started 10 years ago. It could have started before you were even born. So when we look at autoimmune, let's be open-minded and not so much focus on the end symptom, but more importantly, what's causing it. Because when you look at WebMD's definition, Tracy, you go to the next slide, WebMD's definition of what autoimmune conditions really are. It's really either low activity or overactivity of the immune system. Either your immune system is suppressed to the point it doesn't activate real well, or it's hyperactivated and now it's creating a over immune response. That's where we're looking at, quote unquote, this overactivity that the body's attacking and damaging its own tissue. Well, whatever you believe in, I don't believe the creator would create a body to attack itself, right? So when you look at it, it's in response to an unknown trigger. Well, we do know what some of the triggers are, and we're going to talk about them. The immune system produces antibodies instead of fighting the infection that it may mimic the look of those tissue. Those infections may be inside the cells, right? Or you may have other triggers, undigested food particles, toxins, molds, parasites, all different types of things we're going to talk about. So these autoimmune conditions, Tracy, as you know, are much more common than the average person thinks. I think they're focusing on this exotic name that's been provided and not so much lumping them all together. But I think it's going to become so common, it's going to be the number one thing that people are going to see in our country within 5 years, maybe sooner. Right now, about 20% of people suffer from some type of autoimmune. 3/4 of them are females, right? I think that goes a lot to stress and hormones. About half patients with real autoimmune are labeled as chronic complainers. You ever had somebody come in, Tracy, and they say, oh, I have chronic fatigue, and the doctor put me on an antidepressant medication?
Yeah, that's going to help. Not.
Yeah, so it's either antidepressants, it's antibiotics, or prednisone. Those are the three most common medications that are given when a doctor doesn't know what to do. So here's some of the more common ones. MS is a big one. We have a local doctor in the area, Dr. Conan Shaw. He has over 20 documented cases of helping people with MS, right? I've suffered from a couple of these, including psoriasis and type 1 diabetes, but they can affect all different body systems. And these are some of the most common ones that we've seen all the time. I mean, you've seen a lot of people come in with psoriasis or rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, I mean, different name, same few sources, right, of the issue. Yeah. That's the thing. The root is always very similar.
And just because the one knuckle's swollen and they diagnose you as rheumatoid, it's not a localized issue. It's systemic. Localized would be osteoarthritis, not to be confused with rheumatoid arthritis. So these are just some of the more common terms and disease names that people get. But we got to look at, if we're looking at the immune system, we got to look at where the immune system is located, right? And anywhere around 70 to 80% of your total immune system is located in and around the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, which is the mucosal lining of the intestinal tract. And we're going to look at some pictures in a little bit here. They're saying about 95% of all dopamine and serotonin is in the mucosal lining. So when you talk to a naturopath, right, and they are conventional doctors, naturopaths, not allopathic doctors. Naturopathic medicine has been around this country for hundreds of years and around the world for thousands of years. The old naturopath saying is health and death begins in the colon. And the digestive system is really a long tube from the mouth all the way through the colon. That is the outside world traveling inside of our body. So let's go to the next one here. So GI dysfunction is really underlying many apparently unrelated disorders that we just talked about. When you hear autoimmune, think about the intestinal tract and where the immune system is located. And what happens if this is broken down and compromised, a lot of things that would normally be excreted out of the body get inside your bloodstream and get passed around. And now what happens is the immune system says, time out, something's going on here, and we need to clear this foreign invader. Go to the next one. So this condition is called leaky gut. I know you've heard about that before, Tracy. Do a lot of the patients understand what leaky gut means?
No, but it's a term that's thrown around a lot, so I think it's important that they do understand it.
Yeah, and even a lot of doctors that I know may hear the word but may not really sure what's going on. I remember a guy I used to work with years ago at Metagenics. He says, I don't know, leaky gut. He's like, is this real? I says, I don't know. It seems real because the doctors that focus on healing this leaky gut get dramatic changes. So even some people in the field may not realize how important this is. It's imperative to your health. Even if you're not suffering with an inflammatory or immune-related disease like RA or eczema, food allergies, all these different things. So let's take a picture at what leaky gut actually looks like, right? So what you have here is you have your bloodstream, and on top of your bloodstream in the intestinal tract, you have that mucosal lining, and that's the muscle tissue. And on top of that, it looks like fingers. That's actually your villi, or a hair-like filter. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy gut. You have your healthy mucosal lining, your healthy villi. It's all intact. It's doing its job, which is to filter toxins, foreign invaders, bacteria, undigested food. It's to filter all these things out and pass them through the colon, right? What happens is when that intestinal tract on the right gets broken down, now a lot of these critters and foreign invaders and undigested proteins and food particles and processed things, those actually leak through the intestinal tract, get in the bloodstream, and now the body says, well, hold on a minute. These aren't supposed to be there. We need to do something about it. So that's a very simplified version of a complex issue that's going on for people. I equate it back to when I was a kid, Tracy. They didn't have central air at grandma's house. She had a screen door, and the screen door was designed to let the air in, but not the bugs. And inevitably, when my brother was chasing me to beat me up once again, my big brother, I would run and try and get the screen door open, and then eventually either put your hand through it or the dog would scratch it open.
Mm-hmm.
But that screen door would break down at some point.
Yep.
And then grandma would get the fly swatter out, and now she's going to make me go try and kill all the flies, right? I was the immune system. So rather than me playing out back, I got to kill the bugs. That's what's going on in the body. Now, the good news is, just like the screen door, we can fix this. So let's take a deeper version of what's going on when this progresses. You know, some of the causes of these, and it could be multifactorial, right? Medicine has taught us to think that there's one bug and one drug to fix it. Not true. Our body is very, very complex. We are a web of health, and everybody's different body systems are all connected, right? The brain, the gut, you know, even down from your toes to your nose, it's all connected. So the biggest thing that you have control over are your inflammatory foods. So things like sugar, alcohol. I'm sorry, everyone. I know sugar and alcohol. I'm sorry. Dairy products, grains, and gluten are some of the more common foods that are pro-inflammatory. So we take someone with an autoimmune condition that has an inflammatory disease, and their diet usually is what? A lot of sugar, a lot of dairy products, a lot of processed carbohydrates, and a couple drinks at night to put them to sleep. You also have issues with gut infections. Very common these days for people who take antibiotics for everything, antacids for everything. So when you start to do this, you throw off the microbiome, which is a fascinating world and system on its own. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But gut infections are very common. And you have a progression here. You have the triggers, and then you break down this. You have the inflammatory foods breaking down the intestinal tract. Things get into the system, and now you have poor health. And you think this started today. Meanwhile, it could have been going on for the last 5 years. And that's the problem with the poor diet, is it won't kill you today. It may not even bother you today, but over time, are you bloated? Do you have extra gas? Are you overweight? Do you have any kind of pain, skin issues, inconsistent bowel movements, lack of energy, poor sleep? These are all common symptoms of this leaky gut issue. So there's great research out there. This is Dr. David Brownstein. He's actually really famous for his iodine protocol, but he has a fantastic book on the hidden causes of many chronic diseases. Heal your leaky gut. So he identifies, and he's a medical doctor, right? Type 1 diabetes, lupus, MS, depression, digestion problems, joint. When you look at that list, Tracy, it's like head scratching, saying all these things can be tied into leaky gut.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So when I was doing nutritional consults, towards the end of doing this for 5 years in Dr. Weiner's Wellness Center, I just started going to people's gut. I was like, you know what? I don't care what they come in for. If their intestinal tract isn't clean and healed, nothing else is going to work because they're not absorbing their nutrients. Their immune system is not dialed in. So you need to make sure that you are aware that This did not start today. And you need to seek out help with someone like Dr. Tracy, one of the many healthcare professionals at the Wine and Wellness Center, that you need to go after the cause, not so much the cure. So let's look at some of those. Some simple things, folks. We just found out: avoid sugar, alcohol, dairy products, and processed carbohydrates, right? So what are some things you can do? Number one thing is vitamin A and D, right? We have something called Super K2 Plus that has both of them in there. Super K2 Plus, excellent, because they used to think of vitamin D just for brains and bones. But lo and behold, about 10 years ago, they found all these incredible receptor sites on your immune cells for vitamin D. So it's like a parking spot at the mall. Vitamin D comes right in, parks in there, and it turns a lot of things on, including your immune system. And vitamin D range is too big. It's 30 to 100. Optimal is 80. You know, I've seen people, Tracy, with autoimmune conditions, vitamin D levels as low as 7.
Wow. Well, I don't think they look at, the healing mechanism of vitamin A either. They just don't get enough, because we've been taught to be scared of these two vitamins, Jamie. You might get toxic.
That's a great point. Even myself, I've always, vitamin A. But yesterday we learned from one of our trainings after the Wellness Week, we were on a training session about the power of vitamin A and colloidal silver, right? So it's really interesting when you look at some of these hormone-like vitamins. But of course, increase probiotics. Why? Because we're loaded with the bad bugs. We need some good bugs in there, right? If you got too many bad neighbors, you need some good neighbors in there. Fiber is the food for the good bacteria. I haven't mentioned weight at all, have I? No. So we're not worried about your weight, folks. We're trying to heal your leaky gut. We're going to show you in a little bit. Glutamine and a specific type of zinc is really important. And then avoid the known irritants. And we have a program that outlines this that Tracy was so generous to document and write for us, called the NF for Life program. Let's take a look at it. This focuses on all the different things you can do to avoid all the irritants and start healing your gut. I mean, 400 BC, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said it best: let food be thy medicine, medicine thy food. You can't out diet, you can't out supplement, and you can't out medicate a bad lifestyle. It's not going to do it. You need to focus on all of the underlying causes and conditions. So this is why we have the NF for Life program. But leaky gut is really associated with this gall. It's a mucosal lining in and around the intestinal tract. It's supposed to be your first line of defense against foreign invaders, but as we've learned, when it's broken down, that's what creates a lot of problems. So we tend to look at this as a patient that comes in, right, and they look at their end symptom. Many doctors who treat non-responsive chronic inflammatory conditions begin by looking at GI function first. Naturopath says health and death begins in the gut and colon. And that's what I was doing when I was doing the consults. I know you've done that, and Jeff Nisnik and Dr. Hahnemann. We have an entire team at the Wellness Center. But you need a formulation that's really designed to cool down the intestinal tract. Give the nutrients, the food, to help nourish this intestinal tract. In addition, looking at reducing chronic inflammation, right? And we have the formula. It's called GI Complete. This is no different if you were trying to regrow grass in your yard and the grass was eroded because you had some yard work being done and you had someone driving a truck over it. You would have to rope the section of your yard off, right? You would have to nourish it with the right nutrients. You'd have to take away and cool down some of the inflammation, not walk on it for a while. Give it the water and food it needs. And this is what your intestinal tract needs. So GI Complete is a complete formula that will provide all the nutrients to cool down the inflammation in the gut, provide the nutrients for it to heal, like zinc carnosine, and all the nutrients for this to regrow. Did you use this in your practice?
Yeah, I mean, I use this in my practice, but I use this for myself
Oh,
I mean, it's one of those formulations you can take every day. Who doesn't need good health in their gut every single day? And, we're not always perfect on our diet. And if we try to be perfect, there's those sneak attack, pesticides and BHT and everything else that they throw in our food. And of course, all of your inhaled viruses or bacteria. I mean, we don't think about the digestive tract as part of our immune system, but it is. And if it's not healthy, we're not going to be healthy. So lots of things with this.
absolutely. I put it in my shake a day right now. And the other thing I do is a probiotic and enzymes I start every day. So GI Complete is part of it. The other thing we got to look at is high quality probiotics and digestive enzymes, which is the foundation of the Great Pyramid of Health. If you're not taking probiotics and enzymes in, you're missing the boat. Why are these so important? If you add up all the cells in your body, times it by 10, and you get 100 trillion. I like numbers. So 100 trillion is a big number. That's how many microorganisms you find in and around your intestinal tract. It's very complex. There's over 400 different species, and they all have their role in there. So it's a whole world unto itself. It's called the microbiome, and it's really fascinating to me. And that's why probiotics are so important. I start every morning after my prayers. I get a glass of water. I take 2 superbiotics, and I take 2 Probzyme, and I'm off to start my day. I do not go anywhere until I take those with me. And that's at home. That's on the road. Regardless, I always start with superbiotics and Probzyme. It gives me a good foundation to start the day. However, we have other options for you. The super is the strongest one, right? I've suffered from autoimmune conditions, so I use superbiotics. If I don't take that for about 4, 5, 6 days, I could tell right away. My stomach gets bloated. I get some irritations on my skin. So I continue to take it. Why? Because it keeps a healthy microecology going on. The microbiome is staying in balance. If you're not sick or you haven't had any conditions and you want a good probiotic for the gut, you can do the Frontier Biotic. That's got about 6 billion CFUs. The super is 50. All of our probiotics in a capsule come in a blue glass bottle. Do you know why we do that?
I know why you do that. To
Good.
preserve the integrity of the living bacteria in there.
Yeah, because there's no shortage of probiotics on the market. You can find these things anywhere, even the grocery store, the drugstore, the health food store. They're not all bad. But if they say guaranteed at manufacture date, do not buy it. Why? Because these are live bacteria. They're very delicate and they break down easily. So if it's guaranteed at manufacture date, you don't know what's in there. Ours are guaranteed at expiration date. So the number in there, the CFU, the colony forming units, are guaranteed expiration date. So we have the Frontier, which is the foundation, Super, which is the big boy. That's got the high nutrient content in there, 50 billion per capita. I take 2 per day, so I'm getting 100 billion in every morning. I don't think we need 500 billion, but anywhere between 6 and 100 billion we found from research is the adequate amount to get a therapeutic result without taking too much in. In addition, all the probiotics by Nutritional Frontiers are PRTs, patented, research, and trademarked. I'm going to talk in a minute what that's about. The last 2 are SBC, which is a unique combination of Saccharomyces and Bifidobacterium. That's great for diarrhea, yeast infections, and post-antibiotic therapy. And then we have the Probzyme, which is the #1 natural digestive aid out there. Great because it's a chewable probiotics and enzymes. It works for acute issues and for chronic. Let's look at some of the research. So we have all the studies. We have the animal studies, we have the lab studies, and the human studies on our probiotics. They are all guaranteed to do specific things in the body. But let's look at the foundation of what you're guaranteed, because if they can't survive stomach acid and bile breaks them down, or some of the digestive enzymes affect them, then they're not going to be able to get anywhere and do anything. All the Nutritional Frontiers probiotics, including the Frontier, the SBC, and the Super, all have been proven in research studies to survive acid, bile, and digestive enzymes, actually get somewhere in the intestinal tract, and actually turn on some activity. And that's the important thing. That's why people get results. And let me give you a quick anecdotal. The other day I was in the wellness center and a woman came in. She said, I want to thank you guys for saving my life. I was like, whoa, this is why I do what I do, right? How many people get to hear that at their job? You saved my life. I says, oh, tell me more. What was going on? She says, oh, I had C. diff so bad. I was losing 15 pounds a month and I was dying. The doctors didn't know what to do. I'd become antibiotic resistant. I'm thinking, wow, what a protocol we must have put her on, right? I said, do you remember what we put you on? She goes, yeah, superbiotics. I said, that's it? She says, that's it. And I said, how you doing now? She says, everything's great. So sometimes it's as simple as using the therapeutic dose of the right ingredient. I'm not a big take 15 products. I'm more about the lifestyle. And that's why we started Nutritional Frontiers, to give you the therapeutic formulas so that the protocol is deep but not wide. And, this is related to a lot of different quote unquote conditions, right? I think it starts with people suffering from some kind of digestion, bloating. Mikey G would call it the ABCs, Tracy, right? You have acid reflux, bloating, constipation, and he has a D on for diarrhea. Those are some of the more common symptoms. Folks, these are not normal. If you are bloated, it's not normal. You should not be bloated, right? Then, some of the other causes may be that you have candida or parasites, food intolerances. I was talking to someone recently and they said, I get so sick when I eat ice cream. I said, oh, why is that? I'm lactose intolerant. I said, oh, isn't everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I says,
everybody with teeth.
Yeah. I says, well, why do you eat it? Oh, I really like it. I said, do you like it more than you dislike the pain? Obviously so, right? Now, if you're healthy, you can eat a little bit and won't have a problem. There's other forms of the ice cream you can get, right? But I think we've eaten too much food in our country and too much processed food. And it's not as specific as, oh, it's just lactose, right? Remember, folks, there's a complex web and there's a lot of different food intolerances. Let's go to the next one. So our solution for this is our 5R program, not to be confused with the 5R lifestyle program, which is NF for life, but this is 5R program for digestive health. This is a way you can actually address the underlying causes, and most importantly, is have a strategy behind it. I don't want people to think that we're doing green medicine. How many times people come in to see you, Tracy, or text you or call you or email you these days and say, what do you have for bloating, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What do you have for XYZ?
Yeah, and I always take it back to, what are you eating? What are you drinking? And then we start with everything else. But I don't have a pill for an ill, but I have a process for health. So,
yeah. And the 5th R is relief. So there are times we want some symptomatic relief. However, to go after the cause on a long-term basis, we need to address all these areas, right? And look, oftentimes, or almost all the time, people have these autoimmune conditions. Even medication is not helping. Because what's the traditional treatment right now from an allopathic medical doctor? First thing they do is they give you antacids because you got too much stomach acid. You have heartburn, you have reflux. And Tracy, let's scare the hell out of you. You may suffer from esophageal cancer. How many people do you know that have heartburn and reflux? Probably quite a bit, right?
Well, aren't the top 4 medications over the counter or prescribed a GI medication? And what's the stats, Jamie? Over 200,000 people die every year from GI related complications. Like, that stat blew me away.
Yeah, and just from taking NSAIDs, it's over 20,000 a year. So when you look at, a lot of people are on antacids, right? How many people die from esophageal cancer? Significantly less, right?
Right.
It's another fear tactic, right? You have to be really in bad shape to get to that point. I'm not saying it doesn't occur, right? But if we looked at this overall, the treatment right now from allopathic physicians is antacids, number one. Number two, we're going to give you NSAIDs. Why? Because you have inflammation, and they're going to try and cool it down. And then they already plant the seed. Hey, hey, Tracy, when you get really bad with your autoimmune condition, we're going to give you immune suppressors like sulfasalazine and methotrexate. Why don't they give those medications up front?
Because you don't have an autoimmune until it's caused by the medications they put you on.
Yeah, that and these medications are so strong and so dangerous. They want to wait for you to get really sick. I mean, think about that. You come into the doc, hey, we've diagnosed you with autoimmune condition. There's no cure, and it's all genetic. We're going to start you on some NSAIDs. And when it gets worse, it may take 6 months, it may take a year, it may take a couple of years. But when you get really sick, come in, I'm going to give you even more dangerous medications, but there's no cure. I mean, isn't that really what they're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
lifelong sickness, that's what they want you to believe.
Look, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition in college at the age of 19. I went back to the campus physician 5 times in a short period of time. He was so sick of me coming back and asking him, well, what's causing this? Well, it's genetic. I said, well, I called my mom, and she's called everybody she knows that we're related to or we think we're related to. No one has it. And you're telling me there's no cure. That's impossible. So after, asking a lot of questions, he says stress, alcohol, you're in college, you're having some parties, the stress was going on. And then he had mentioned like possible yeast. I was like, yeast? What do you mean? So I wasn't satisfied with the answers. So I continued to do a lot of homework, and I figured, well, the very least I can do is change my diet. And hopefully that has some kind of impact, right? And that's what I did. So I removed offending substances from my diet. I found that there's some foods that were really offending to me, right? So I removed them. And then over time, I learned later on, there's a way to remove these pathogenic organisms like yeast and fungus and bacteria and toxins. And that's a really ugly picture of a cross-section of an intestinal tract where you have overgrowth or leaky gut occurring. You can see the yeast and you can see the fungus and parasites in there, right? And we created a formula called CandiKill based on Dr. Weiner's 50 years of research, and our teams combined over 300 years of research. And CandiKill is an all-in-one formula that's simple and easy to take. I started taking it again. It's a great thing, too, if you feel a little bloated, you don't feel in your fighting shape. I'm getting ready for the beach, so I'm going to do CandiKill for about 4 to 6 weeks to further clean out the intestinal tract. Because I know when I'm going to the beach, I want to be a little lighter. And, I might eat some food. I'm going to be eating out all week, so, you're not sure of all the food sources. So CandiKill is a great way to kill off these microbes. Did you use CandiKill? Do you still use it?
Yeah, I use it a lot for a lot of different people. It's part of my remove phase. So, I use the power cleanse and the lean greens as an opener for deep cellular cleanse and activating the liver so that your body's prepped. And then if they need this, which most people do, because you can position this not only for candida, but also parasitic action, immune boosting, blood sugar balancing.
Yes, you stole it, right?
There's so many things.
That's the new thing I'm using it for. Diabetics, blood sugar, and weight, right? Yeah. Because of the close connection. I mean, how many times we heard people talking about berberine for diabetes? So we put that connection together. And I have type 1 diabetes, right, from an autoimmune issue with an infection. So I love when I take CandiKill. I'm like, do I stay on it? So I take a little break on it, and I went back on it. And I can tell right away. It makes a huge difference, folks.
Yeah. And also, with blood sugar issues, you're not always perfect. You know what I mean? Like nobody is. So you will have fluctuations of extra glucose in the blood periodically. And that extra sugar gets eaten up by candida. And that's candida's job, is to protect you. It's just when it gets too out of balance, which a lot of people have issues. I mean, you keep your blood sugar like good, but not everybody does that. So this formula is really good.
In full transparency, sometimes I don't know what spiked it, right? Sometimes it may happen at night. It may happen with stress. It may happen there's so many different things that it may fluctuate, right? And an average person doesn't check their blood sugar 4 or 5 times a day, so they don't know if theirs is fluctuating. So I always go back to doing what you got to do. And if the blood sugar is up or down a little bit, okay. And not that this is about blood sugar, but if you have autoimmune type 1 or even type 2, the blood sugar should be between 70 and 200. If it goes over 200, I always say if it starts with a 2 or higher, it's too high. But if you keep it between 70 and 199, you're doing pretty good. Okay, let's go to the next one. So formulas to remove, of course, Kill, and then we have the Microgon. Microgon's great because it has a little extra support for anti-parasitic. It's a liquid, so it's great for kids. It's easy to dose. So those are 2 proven formulas. Again, Nutritional Frontiers has the advantage that we work with the Wellness Center, and everything that we bring out to you, we've already tried in the Wine of Wellness Center and World of Wellness. Let's go to the next one. So after we remove, we start replacing. That's why I like digestive enzymes and extra fibers. So you can do this through food. Remember, live food has enzymes and fiber and enzymes. I think people oftentimes think that it's either food or supplements or medication. Folks, you can get a lot of supplements out of the food. Let food be thy medicine. And then why do we take the extra supplements? Because we may have higher requirements. Let's go to the next one. Items to replace those are Frontier Fiber, Betazyme, especially if you don't have a gallbladder or you have autoimmune conditions. If you have issues with body fat, skin issues, use Betazyme. And then we have Zyme and Prozyme. These are all things that I utilize on a consistent basis, and I'll rotate through. Right now, I like the Superbiotics and the Prozyme. Periodically, I use Natakin Plus, I use Betazyme, I use Zyme. So you can rotate through and find which ones you like. Always use probiotics. If you use any supplements at all, folks, even before the multi, I say probiotics and enzyme. What's your thoughts?
Sorry, I'm flipping your slides. Same.
Okay.
You know, when I was in practice, everybody left with a probiotic and an enzyme. Because if you walked in my door, I knew you weren't eating right. I knew you weren't getting enough bacteria, and I knew you weren't breaking down your food. And even if you were, it was probably yucky food. So everybody left the same thing.
And even if you are, surviving, how about thriving, right? I think everyone's just expectations are so low. You know, I'm approaching 40, 13 this year, right? This is the year 13 for everybody. So I will be 53 years of age, and I'm looking to be in the best shape of my life for my birthday. I don't care how old you are, what you've been through. There's no reason why you can't thrive. And make sure you take a probiotic. I love the Superbiotic. You can do 1 or 2 in the morning, perfect with a glass of water. What a great way to start the day. Then we start to repair, right? We want to repair the mucosal lining, repair the immune system, cool down the gut inflammation, and make sure it's not only about the immune system, but you got to absorb your nutrients into the bloodstream. You got to assimilate them in your cells, and then you have to excrete them. And a lot of people suffer from that also. Well, GI Complete. I mean, #1 formula at Nutritional Frontiers. I said that the other day to my daughter. She popped her head up. Well, I thought it was sleep time. I said, well, they're both in the top 3. I'm glad you're listening. But GI Complete, great way to repair the intestinal tract. Our top formula, we have it in capsules plus 2 incredibly tasting powders. We have the original raspberry and the new lemon lime. What's your favorite flavor?
I have to say the lemon lime is my favorite. It's good. And my kids will drink it too. So, and I like it for summer.
Yeah, it's like a lemonade. So It's an easy one to drink, and it works extremely well. And even if you don't think you have any issues, you can always throw it in your smoothie. So we got a couple more here, and then we're going to finish this up right on time because I know we got some incredible speakers. And the last thing is relief, right? You may need some acute relief, right? So I always look at, as Mikey G taught me, the GOAT, know your A, B, C's, and D's. Acid reflux, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea. Those are the most common symptoms you need relief. And I get it. That's when you need like the pill for the ill. You need some acute relief. So let's look at those options. I always go back to Probezyme for any acid reflux, heartburn, bloating. I mean, you can use Probezyme for any of these, but you want to get a little more specific. Bloating, Cybezyme works really well. If you're constipated, you can use Frontier Cleanse, maybe Mag Citrate, Mag Complete. We have a few options for you there. And diarrhea, GI Complete. I know a lot of naturopaths that will use that GI Complete 2, 3, 4 times a day until the diarrhea ends. You can also use the SBC. So putting it all together, we want to remove, replace, reinoculate, repair, and relief. You don't have to do these in separate stages. You can combine them, or you can do them a la carte. So let's look at those options. So a really simplified version of the 5R is follow the diet, do GI Complete with Probezyme. It's 2 formulas. You can't make it any easier than that. If you need a little more support, or you want a little more therapeutic or a la carte, do GI Complete with Betazyme and Superbiotics. And we have a local practitioner. He gives GI Complete. He says 3 scoops a day for the first container, 2 scoops a day for the second container, and 1 scoop a day after that. Because if he tells a new person to do it once a day, they may not always follow it. So let's start with 2 or 3 scoops a day, and then we can go to the maintenance dose of 1 scoop. There it is. Let's break down GI Complete a little bit. This is a fun one. So the main ingredient, of course, one of the main ingredients is 7 or 8 therapeutic ingredients. This helps for all different types of GI inflammation, autoimmune. Let's not focus on the label they've given you, but it can help with all these different labels. We're not making any claims, but the foundation is L-glutamine. That is the most important nutrient for rebuilding the muscle, the mucosal cells in the intestinal tract. And let's see why. You have the primary fuel source is this amino acid, because if you look at muscle overall, about 70% of the amino acids in muscle are L-glutamine. That's why you see it in a lot of bodybuilding products, and it'll help not only the muscles in the bicep, but also the muscles in the intestinal tract. So it will feed the intestinal tract cell walls, and it'll help secrete some short-chain fatty acids, which further provide a fuel for the intestinal tract. So glutamine is great. We also have the arabinogalacticans. These are inulin or prebiotic fiber. These will increase the number of immune cells in the intestinal tract. Some studies show up to doubling the number of immune cells. It's one of the active constituents of echinacea, so we love that ingredient. We also have things like aloe vera, dimethylglycine, which has 5 U.S. patents, 1 including for the treatment of inflammatory disease and autoimmune conditions, in particular rheumatoid arthritis. So DMG's in there. Oh gosh, aloe vera. Tracy, I'm so old. We had aloe vera plants in my house. So if we came in with cuts and burns and scrapes or sunburn, Mom would break that open, squeeze it on you,
We
rub
still
it
have
in.
that. I have that downstairs. I have all kinds of healing herb plants everywhere. It's God's pharmacy, right? We just put it in a powder to make it convenient, because if you're like me, you kill everything.
Yes. You and Michaela, she's not good at the plants either, but she's great at everything else. So my mom would squeeze it on there, and then right after that, it was get out of the house, right? It was like, lick your wounds and get out. Slippery elm and marshmallow give more fecal material to the colon, so more bowel regularity. And, those are 2 interesting ingredients that help. And then the last one, this is sold by itself by a lot of companies as an individual ingredient. It's called zinc carnosine, not to be confused with zinc oxide or citrate. When you put the zinc with the carnosine molecule, we can do a whole presentation on this one, but I'm running out of time. When you put the zinc carnosine together, not molecule, it has a unique ability to bind to any inflamed or wounded areas of the intestinal tract. It immediately starts detoxifying, killing bacteria, and healing any of that tissue, including peptic ulcers. So this is actually used in Asia and just about everything, including chewing gum, because they have studies on it for heartburn, reflux, upset stomach, nausea, bloating. Awesome ingredient, zinc carnosine. This is all in one.
Isn't this also studied for H. pylori infection? infections.
That's it. Yes. Yep.
Which is pretty much the root cause of most peptic ulcers.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting you brought that up. You just brought a memory back. So I was working with Dr. Bland. He showed that H. pylori is very difficult to kill, right? So the therapy right now, the allopathic therapy is triple antibiotic therapy. It gives you about 80% success rate. Not that great for 3 antibiotics, right? However, when they add in the zinc carnosine, they get 100% relief. So you can use this formula even if you're on medications, which is great news. And there's over 20 published studies on this for peptic ulcers, dyspepsia, even things like you said, H. pylori. And there's a Probzyme, vegetarian, gluten-free, awesome. It is a vegetarian, gluten-free, and dairy-free chewable wafer. It has probiotics and enzymes in it, and really safe and effective for everybody, from kids all the way through seniors. And then we have the GI Solutions booklet. This is available at the Weiner Wellness Center, also on our website. It goes through the entire program, including the diet and the protocol. So people love this, that we have all the literature behind the program to help you get better results. However, if you have an autoimmune condition, you need to schedule with a healthcare professional at the Wellness Center. We are accepting new patients. You don't need to come here for dozens of appointments. We will help you address the underlying causes and customize a program for you. So thanks so much, Tracy. Appreciate you having me on again. This is a topic close to my heart. I'm doing fairly well with the challenges of autoimmune conditions, and we want to help more people because, I'm very concerned that the autoimmune conditions are going to just explode. I think it's the tip of the iceberg right now. Mm-hmm. People have started to already accept that, it's okay. Someone on our team's mom has an autoimmune condition from the, as you would call the jab. Mm-hmm. Somebody come in yesterday. He says, you need to let people know this. This is what's going on. 33-year-old young lady that he works with got the vaccination, and now she doesn't have full use of her legs. 33. Started right away. So the autoimmune conditions are going to get worse. So have a strategy in place that you don't have to worry about succumbing to these. And if you have these, let's look at how can we help you.
Yeah, absolutely. So start GI Complete now. Start your probiotics now. Start your gut restoration now, because all health begins there. So awesome presentation. Only one question. What's the difference between Superbiotics and Superbiotic 2?
Well, the only thing is we changed the name. Superbiotic and Superbiotics 2 is the same product. There was a lot of confusion internally of 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll see the label update with the new branding that all labels will eliminate the numbers 2 and 3 and 4 off of them.
Yeah. So, well, that was awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. You can get all of these products at the Weiner Wellness Center. If you'd like to purchase them, can they come in? Can they try them? What's happening there at the center, Jamie?
We're here to help you. So you can call in at 412-922-WELL. That's 412-922-9355. We field a lot of calls just for questions, right? If you want to buy anything, everything's on deep discounts. We're doing free shipping, curbside pickup. We are here live if you want to come in. We have all the healthcare professionals here to answer any questions. We have free food from Bada Bing out front, free healthy organic, grass-fed beef. We have all organic veggies and organic chicken, so we're excited for that. We have samples here. Come on down, folks. We're here all week, today till 5, tomorrow till 5, and all day Saturday.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was a great presentation, and I loved some of the slides. The visual helps so much for people to understand. So guys, get your products today. Start your protocol now. Don't wait to be sick. Invest in your health before it becomes an expense. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks so much. Have a great day. God bless.